Okay, think about the last time you met someone totally new. It can be, you know, exciting, maybe a little bit awkward, especially if English isn't your first language.
Oh, absolutely. That whole initial exchange, figuring out what to say,
Yeah,
it feels spontaneous, but there's actually, well, quite a bit of structure underneath it all.
exactly. And that's what we're doing today, a real deep dive into sort of the art and science of introducing yourself in English.
Yeah, we want to get beyond just like memorizing phrases. The goal is for you, listening, to understand the why behind it all.
So you can feel genuinely confident, make that great first impression, and really open the door to, well, connection.
Right. And we've been digging into this really practical guide for English beginners. It breaks the whole thing down into 5 manageable steps. We're going to unpack those for you.
Our mission, then, is to make this whole process feel clearer, less intimidating, maybe even kind of interesting. Ready to jump in?
Let's do it. Step 1, the greeting, that very first word.
That opening line, it really sets the tone, doesn't it? Shows you want to interact.
It does. And the guide we looked at really stresses starting simple, starting safe. For beginners, hello is probably the most versatile.
Totally. Formal, informal, works almost anywhere. And they even mention the pronunciation, H-L-O-H. Stress on the end.
Yeah, that little detail helps. And then there's hi, bit more casual.
Right.
Yeah,
More for everyday situations, meeting people at a coffee break, that sort of thing. And it's that long I sound, I-A-G-H.
simple but effective. Now, what about those time of day greetings?
Ah, yes. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. The guide points out these are great, but they do tend to sound a little more formal than just hello or hi.
That's a good distinction. Useful to know. You use good morning up till noon, roughly.
Then good afternoon until, say, early evening, and good evening after that.
But here's the really critical one the guide flags.
Oh, I know this one. Good night.
Exactly. It is not a greeting.
No, it's what you say when you're leaving or, going to bed. It means goodbye, basically, at night. Big mistake to start with that.
Huge. And it's not just the words, is it? The nonverbals are massive at this stage.
Oh, totally. Making eye contact, actually smiling, standing up straight, it all signals you're open and engaged. Way before you even get to the next step.
And the handshake. The guide mentions it's optional. Depends a lot on the culture and the specific situation.
Right. Better to read the room on that one. What about things to definitely avoid right at the start?
Well, mumbling's a big one. No eye contact comes across as uninterested. Using goodnight, obviously.
Yeah.
And maybe jumping in with a, hey, if you don't know the person at all. Can feel a bit too familiar too soon.
Okay, good pointers. So you've nailed the greeting.
Yeah.
Step 2, saying your name, actually telling them who you are.
The core info. The guide highlights 2 main ways. My name is your name.
Slightly more formal, maybe. Very clear.
Yeah, and the subject there is name, or the really common one, I'm your name.
Which is just, I am contracted. A bit more conversational. And the subject is I.
But functionally, both are totally fine.
Huh.
I'm is probably what you hear more day to day.
What about saying your name itself? Especially if it might be unfamiliar.
The good point. The guide really emphasizes clarity. Speak clearly, maybe a little slower than usual.
Be patient if they don't get it right away.
Exactly. And it's okay to politely correct them. Actually, it's pronounced, something like that. Using an English nickname is also mentioned as an option, if you have one you like.
Okay. And after you say your name,
Pause. Just for beat. It gives the other person space to register it and usually prompts them to offer their name.
nice tip. Then you need to ask for theirs, right?
Yep. What's your name? Is the standard straightforward question.
Can't go wrong with that.
Or the guide suggests, and you are, as a slightly smoother alternative, especially right after you've just said your own name.
A little more sophisticated, maybe?
Kind of. And what if you just didn't hear their name properly? It happens.
Oh, all the time. Don't just nod and pretend.
Right. The guide gives good phrases. Sorry, what was your name again? Or, I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch your name. Much better to ask.
Shows you actually care about getting it right. Okay, that makes sense. So, step 3. Where are you from? Sharing your origin or location.
Yeah, this starts building a bit more connection, giving context. The most common phrase is, I'm from Country City.
You hear that all the time.
You do. I come from Country City is also correct, grammatically fine, but maybe just a little less frequent in conversation, especially American English.
Okay. And what if where you live now is different from where you were born?
You can combine them. I'm from origin, but I live in current city now.
Or just focus on the present?
Yeah, I live in current city, if
Yeah.
that feels more relevant. Or you can state your nationality directly. I'm nationality, like I'm Brazilian.
And pronunciation again. Place names can be tricky in English.
Definitely. The guide advises listening to how native speakers say your city or country and, trying to mimic that English pronunciation. It might be different.
Makes sense. And asking them.
Simple again. Where are you from is the most standard.
Oh.
Where do you come from? Also works.
And they'd answer using one of those I'm from phrases we just mentioned.
Right. And the guide adds a nice little touch, show some interest. Even just an, oh, cool, or I've heard it's beautiful there, can make the conversation warmer.
Yeah. Keeps it from feeling like just an exchange of facts. Any pitfalls here? Things to avoid?
Well, unclear pronunciation, obviously. Giving like your entire life story right away, just country or main city is usually enough at first.
Keep it brief initially.
Exactly. Don't assume they know your tiny village. And just generally be sensitive around the topic of origin.
Good advice. Okay, step 4. This one's optional but common. Mentioning what you do, your job or status.
Right. Especially in work or study situations, this often comes up. You'd say, I'm a job title profession.
And remember the A versus an rule and before vowel sounds.
Crucial detail. I'm an engineer. I'm a teacher. Or you could say, I work as a job title. Or I work in field industry. Like I work in finance.
And for students?
Simple. I'm a student. Or maybe I study subject. Like I study biology. The main advice here is keep it simple for the intro.
Don't need the full job description just yet?
Not usually, no. And how do you ask them?
The classic, what do you do?
Yes. And the guide makes a really important point here. This question almost always means, what's your job or main occupation study area?
Right, not what are you doing right this second?
Exactly. It catches people out sometimes. So be ready for that question yourself.
Good to know. Things to watch out for here, other than the odd.
Yeah, avoiding overly technical jargon about your job initially. Being prepared for the what do you do question. And just understanding what that question actually means.
Got it. Okay, we're on the home stretch. Step 5. The polite closing for the introduction part.
Wrapping it up nicely, making that good final first impression. The absolute standard here is nice to meet you.
Super common, super versatile.
Totally. The guide mentions pleased to meet you is a bit more formal.
And it's a pleasure to meet you.
Even more formal. Maybe for a really important business meeting or something. But honestly, nice to meet you is safe for almost any situation.
And when do you say it?
Usually after names and maybe the origin or job bit have been exchanged, it signals that getting to know your intro part is done.
Okay. And if someone says it to you first?
You reply by, nice to meet you too. That too is really important, the guide stresses.
Yeah.
Shows the feeling is mutual.
Reciprocity. Makes sense.
Or you could say, the more casual, you too. Or a slightly more formal option is likewise.
Likewise. Okay, good options. And body language still matters here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Keep the smile, the eye contact. Maybe the handshake happens here as you say it.
Yeah.
It sort of concludes that initial formal exchange.
And then the conversation either moves on to something else or perhaps the interaction ends there.
Precisely. What to avoid at this closing stage?
Well, just forgetting to say it can feel a bit abrupt.
Yeah, or forgetting the to when you reply.
Right. Or saying it at a really awkward moment or just mumbling it.
Defeats the purpose a bit if they can't hear your polite closing.
So those are the 5 steps. Greeting, name, origin, occupation, optional, and polite closing. How does it look all put together?
Well, let's imagine a quick example, maybe informal. Hi, I'm Ben. I'm from Canada, but I live here now. I work in marketing. Nice to meet you.
Simple, covers the bases, and the other person would likely respond in kind. Maybe a more formal one.
Sure. First day of a training session. Good morning. My name's Aisha Khan. I'm from the UK. From our London office. I'm a project manager. Pleased to meet you.
See, it flows quite naturally following those steps. But the guide also says it's not rigid.
Right, exactly. It's a framework, not a strict script. Sometimes the order might shift a little, depending on how the chat goes. The point is it gives you a solid structure to start from.
And it often leads into more conversation.
Hopefully. But confidence is key, and that comes from
Practice.
you got it. The guide is big on this. It suggests things like practicing in the mirror sounds cheesy, but it works.
Recording yourself, maybe?
Yeah, hearing yourself speak. Shadowing, listening to native speakers, and repeating right after them.
Writing out your intro and then saying it aloud.
Finding language partners, taking classes, role-playing scenarios, even just visualizing successful introductions can help build that mental muscle.
I really liked the mindset advice in the guide.
Me too. That don't aim for perfection, aim for connection. That's golden.
It really is. Takes the pressure off. It's okay to make mistakes, especially when you're learning. The goal is just to communicate, to connect with another person.
And the guide even tackles those common beginner worries, like what if I forget what to say?
Or I'm nervous about my pronunciation. Or I don't understand them.
Yeah, or I'm just shy, or they talk too fast. It offers practical little strategies for all those, like asking someone to repeat or speak more slowly. It's okay to do that.
Preparation helps a lot too, just having your basic intro ready in your mind.
Definitely. It all boils down to being prepared, being willing to ask for help, and remembering everyone starts somewhere.
So let's just quickly recap the big picture for everyone listening. We've got this 5-step framework: greeting,
Name.
origin,
Occupation, maybe?
and that polite closing. It gives you a clear path for introducing yourself in English.
And understanding why each step is there and practicing it, paying attention to your words and your body language. That's what builds real confidence. It really helps you make those connections.
So here's something to think about as we wrap up. Imagine feeling totally comfortable walking up to someone and saying, "Hello, my name is," what could happen next?
Yeah, what kinds of new relationships or maybe collaborations or just interesting experiences might be waiting just on the other side of that simple introduction? It's quite powerful when you hub about it.
It really is. Makes you wonder, what parts of introducing yourself do you find tricky or maybe even interesting? What have your own experiences been like? Definitely something to reflect on.